So, this is our meeting together to talk about our caffeine presentation, how we did overall.
Yes.
So, we don't really need to be worrying about how it went. We did it really well. I think we did overall did a pretty good job. Do you guys think that you have any strengths for us that you thought we did well? Can you guys list any strengths that you thought we did?
I think we
well?
worked
Besides all
well.
of our muscles.
Besides all of
I
us.
think we worked well as a group.
Yeah.
I think we helped each other when we saw that someone was struggling.
Yep.
We came there and we helped them. Or if someone didn't know too much about part of the presentation and the other person knew more,
Yep.
we reach out to them, ask them questions, and ask them to step in, talk to the people that were there, and then we proceeded to talk to someone else. So I think that was a good thing that we did.
Yeah, synergy.
Yeah, synergy.
We picked up on each other's weaknesses with our strengths.
I think we also had a very good energy. People were
Yeah.
approaching each other and trying to get people to come to our booth.
Yeah.
People were very interactive. Everybody was very interactive.
Exactly.
I think that was a very good positive for us.
Yep.
Anything else? Anything else? Any other
I
positives?
think we actually knew what we were talking about.
Exactly.
To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do think that caffeine being like a pretty common thing, like it's a very common thing that people have like a lot. It's pretty easy for us to like have delved into it and be like, oh, this
Exactly. I think
Yeah.
is my life.
people can relate a lot to it. They saw caffeine and they're like, oh, and they saw the chocolates. The chocolates were a good idea.
Yeah, chocolates.
They saw the chocolates. They wanted
It
the
did,
chocolates.
it did help. Yeah, it helped
Yeah.
that people like.
Exactly.
You know, people also are very interested in caffeine. Like most people who
Yeah,
come into our
exactly.
booth were like, oh, I drink coffee
Yeah.
every day, or
A lot of
I have
people
energy
like the
drinks.
graphs too, or they were just like, oh, I drink coffee every day. Is it bad? Is it good? And then we explain.
Yeah, they enjoyed seeing what it looked like for like
Exactly.
healthy amounts.
Some people also had great questions about tea, if tea has a lot of caffeine. So it was good to have the graphs there
Yeah.
because some people they like visualizing their information, and we had it over there so we could show them. We could point at the graph and say, hey, this is what green tea looks like. So this is what you should. This is the amount that you should drink before getting to the 400 milligrams. That is the
It's
threshold.
Like, how many cups? It was like 10 cups.
It was probably
Yeah,
like
that's a lot.
22. I think I counted.
From what it was, I think green tea was like 15
22
cups or something. It was
No.
like it was a lot. It was a bunch of cups.
Yeah.
It was the most was green tea. It had like 10 or something
Yeah.
less in per cup. But overall, I think the graphs we had were also very helpful. The graphs we had, like
Yes.
people came up and were interested in like seeing the proper amount.
And the
of
links
the
too.
amount.
Some of the people scanned the QR code, so I think it was
Very
nice.
beneficial.
The games too.
Oh,
Some
yeah,
people
the
got really
games.
interested in the games.
Yeah, the games.
They liked it a lot, especially people from our program. They wanted to play the games. They wanted to play even more than one time.
Yeah,
It was
but
really
what
nice.
what we could have worked on is that we could have
So
got
wait,
like a physical
The
thing.
next question is, I think
Yeah.
we have a lot, I wrote down a whole bunch of the ones we put for strengths, but the next question is, I'll let you lead with it.
Yeah.
Is list at least 3 areas of your presentation, table, or group that you think we could have improved on.
Yeah, physical spinning would have been nice.
Physical, I do agree that like a proper real spinner
It
would
would
have
have, I
been.
think it would have drawn people in more.
Yes.
You know, you hear the noise of the spinner.
Yeah. And I think we could have got an actual bowl for the chocolate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that would have been more professional for
Yeah,
sure.
but just a more proper
Just
holder
to
for
make it more
the
professional, but
chocolate, I do.
we made it work. That's all that matters.
I think we also should have looked at some more of like caffeine's differences throughout time, because caffeine's
Exactly.
like one of the oldest substances like on Earth, and it would
Yeah,
have been interesting to
history.
be like see the history and like the changes it has.
Yeah,
But
that's true too.
Yeah.
otherwise, I think the main thing that we did well was our ability to engage and interact with like the people who came to our booth. I think if we just had worked on our talking points like
Exactly.
freehand, I think if we had more variety in what to say, especially when it got busy, because
Yeah.
like there was even the first group that came of like those 20 high schoolers,
Yeah, that
like it
was
was overwhelming,
a
and
lot.
we was like, damn,
Exactly.
there's a lot of people.
And
just, like,
sometimes
confidence would have been
yeah,
good.
sometimes depending on the group of listeners, it was kind of hard to get it going with the flow because some people were interacting.
Yeah.
So I think a more broad area instead of just asking about if you drink coffee, would be, do you know a story of coffee? Do you want to learn about the story of coffee a little bit more? But we also had not that much space on the poster, so
The next question is, because I think we've talked about all of the things that we think that went wrong. The next one is, what did you learn from this experience? So if everyone wants to give like maybe one piece that they think they
Sure,
learned,
yeah.
build off of a
I
small.
I can.
I think I learned specifically that I gotta work on my talking, bro. Like talking to people is a hard thing for me, especially with
Yeah.
big groups.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that group came, like I folded. I folded
You were
so
done.
fast. Like
Me
it was,
too.
It was pretty bad, bro.
Me
Yeah.
too was pretty intense for me, and it was kind of frightening. But this experience helped me a lot with it. I felt way more comfortable, and the next week going to my co-op, I felt so more energized to talk to people I don't know that much, and it was a great experience for us to know how to talk to strangers because that's what we're gonna need to do in our jobs, right? As a personal trainer, you're always gonna be talking to a stranger.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I learned, yeah, explaining stuff can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
Trying to explain things in a way that people would understand.
Yeah. And there's some people that have so many questions and sometimes you don't have the answers.
Yeah,
So it's kind of
that's tough too.
a weird line to draw between whether you know or you don't know because you're presenting about something, right? So people expect you to know a lot about something. And
Yeah.
even though you know, there's some questions that you don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, like the explaining aspect, there were some times where people had questions and it's like, you know the answer, but it's like, you just blanked on it. I think it's just like the aspect of like confidently knowing everything I was saying. It was like,
Yeah.
sometimes you were like, I don't want to say something that like, I don't think is fully true. And you would just like, I'm going to choose to not say anything
Exactly.
to be safe. Whereas
Yeah.
like, if you had trusted your knowledge or built into like the depth, you would have been like, oh, I actually know what I'm talking about. So like some self-confidence is like a big thing that like is really hard with public speaking because sometimes it's like, oh, you do know what you're talking about, but
But
when
you-
people stare at you waiting for that
Yeah, it's-
information, you're like,
it's
damn,
different.
I gotta be right now. Like,
Yeah.
you have to be
Exactly.
right. But it's just about trusting who you are and your like knowledge and abilities.
Yeah. It was a great experience.
I
No
think
doubt.
that overall it was an amazing experience.
Yep.
I really enjoyed this opportunity way more than a final because then you actually can practice what you studied the whole semester and you can practice how to talk to people, look them in the eyes like we learned throughout the class this semester. So
The next question is, if given an opportunity to do this experience again, what would you do differently, if anything at all?
Oh,
I think we would have spent more time practicing, to be honest,
practice
and
out. Yeah.
focusing on the knowledge.
I wouldn't say just
Practice
practicing. I
repeats,
think
rehearse.
I think we should practice, but practice as a group because I think
Yeah.
we practice individually and that helped us. But also the synergy could have gone better. Although it was really good in the day, I think I saw some groups that they had gadgets or cues to do the synergy more natural
Yeah.
that we didn't have. They had roulettes. They had there was a group that you had a basket and then you put your hand and you got a number. The number you talk to someone. So that made it more interesting, more just made it more fluent to the listeners to go there and want to listen to what we have to say.
Yeah, we could have probably expanded our range too for the knowledge that we had, because we could have all focused on different things, and then it wouldn't have had been so concentrated, the overlap, right?
Yeah.
Because we all kind of knew the same things that we were talking about, so we
That's
could have
true.
branched off, right?
But the thing about branching off is we had to know everything. Everyone had to know everything because we need to work as a group, but we can't be all talking to one person. We got to talk to a bunch of
Right,
listeners.
right.
So branching is a good idea, but at the same time we have to know we all have our strengths and our weaknesses.
Yeah.
So of course, Zach knew better about caffeine on ADHD. That's why I reached out to him when someone made a question about caffeine on ADHD. But I knew the topic.
Right.
And same for the both of you too.
Yeah.
And same for me in caffeine on performance. So I think branching is a good idea, but maybe we have to draw a line in what to branch because we all have to know a little bit about it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
fair.
just practice more in a group.
That's fair too,
Yeah. Yeah, the group
yeah. Is that the last one?
There's one more. So the last question now that we have come to is, how did this experience prepare you for your future? And I know that Pedro already said earlier
Yeah.
that you like think this is good for your placement, like even in your future. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think this was an amazing experience for you to learn how to talk to strangers, not to learn, but to get away that fear. I know it never goes away, but you stop carrying that much, because in your head you think that people are gonna think you're wrong and they're gonna come and ask you a question that you don't know, but at the end of the day, no one knows everything. So just be honest with them. Say, that's what I studied, that's what I know. Like Zach said, have confidence about what you said. Have confidence about what you study because you know what you're saying. And if you don't know, just be honest with them. Like I did, and I know that my coworkers also did. When they didn't know what to say, they just went and were honest to the listeners. They just said, I don't know, I can do more research about it if you want. Here is some websites, some articles you can look. You can go more in depth through it. Here's some things you can, some graphs, some things you can look more about it. But yeah, besides that, just learn how to talk more to strangers and have the confidence to say you don't know something, because no one knows everything and it's okay.
I also thought the aspects of like us being able to do like the long researching and like the learning was really interesting. Like the days that we would spend in the library, we would learn like aspects of caffeine, like how it affected the adenosine and like our sleep effects, and like the half-life and like how quick it goes through our body and whatnot, that it is in our body after you consume it. Those different facts and aspects that you learn while doing a research project like this are things you're going to carry on like in your future.
That's what I felt.
Be able to grow and do that on a different project because you know how to do that from doing this.
Yeah, or even just in your daily life, right?
Exactly.
Like don't drink caffeine too late in the day.
And just as a fun fact too, right? You bring this on throughout your life because it's a fact that you learn, you thought it was interesting, and you learn with your friends.
Yeah,
so we each shared our opinion about it, and that got into our minds. So I don't think we're gonna forget about it.
No, yeah, that social aspect. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
Makes it kind
I
of
feel like the public speaking part too would definitely help.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't like public speaking. Like I can talk to people on the
Yeah.
street, but like public speaking in general is
Two groups of
like
people.
it's a different type of thing, especially when there's a big group in front of you.
Yeah, it's a very different thing.
But
I think a lot of it's very important to like practice that as well though, because it's not very often that people just generally get to like practice their group speaking skills, because unless you're someone who presents things or does like common aspects, like you do things in class a lot, like you're not going to be commonly talking in front of like more than 10 people who are not like your friends or colleagues. Like it's a lot of time you're not going to get that.
And we're talking about the
practice.
group experience because we had a group of 15 students come to our booth and learn more about caffeine. It was the first group of people that came to our booth, and it was 15 high school students. So we were really nervous about it. We got it done, but we learned a lot from it.
No, we took it in stride. I'm actually very proud of us from this semester. Good job. That's not going to complete little job. But I think everybody did really good this year. I think it was a great year for us. But yeah, overall, I think that it was a pretty good presentation. Very good wellness expo, and I think that we did well.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise, good job, everyone.